This is just a quick clip of a steam coil, an 8-turn coil, 1/4-inch copper tubing, and I'm going to be injecting some steam into this charcoal burner. I am a little bit worried about explosions. It already explodes slightly on refueling from just the carbon monoxide alone, so I can't imagine what a little hydrogen in that mix is going to do. So this could be interesting and dangerous. So at no point whatsoever will steam be administered, at least within a 10-minute window before fueling. I'm going to have to shut the steam down 10 minutes before at least, or else a serious explosion could ensue. Just wanted to get a look at what's in there because I'm about to wrap that in stainless steel. I don't like the way that's tightened around there. In this experiment, I am going to be looking into the possibility of burning water by injecting steam into this carbon fire. Check out those awesome blue flames. That's charcoal that I made from waste wood that was too wet to burn. And what we have here is a 8-turn steam coil, and it is aimed at my intake port. I currently have an elbow on there to stop any water from entering until the carbon bed has traveled all the way to the bottom of the combustor. I have put 2 gallons of charcoal in there, and the blower fan is at about 180 watts. And I have this beaker up here that is set right at 1 liter. This is not distilled water on this test run. Eventually I'm going to be running distilled water possibly. Or I may not. I may just clean the coil occasionally for convenience. But I am going to be using this check valve and needle valve to control a drip into this steam coil and inject steam into the coal bed, hopefully enabling me to burn this water to produce heat. And I believe the exact energy from that is 286 kilojoules of energy. I'm going to find out how much I burn per minute, and I'll get the wattage for you and find out how many watts of energy this steam coil is able to produce using water. So this is definitely going to be a really cool experiment. The only thing I'm worried about is I'm going to show you a clip of a footage of a mild explosion that takes place with this device. If I were to dump carbon in this thing right now and cover up that flame, the flame would extinguish. And mass quantities of fuel would still be being liberated from the reaction. So suddenly when a small flame emerges from the bottom of the coal bed after refueling, an explosion takes place. It's a huge puff of fire. It's just enough to rattle this lid a little bit, not enough to even lift it off there much, and it blows fire out the intake ports and probably shoots an 8-foot fireball out the exhaust in my backyard and scares the hell out of the neighbors. I don't know yet. We'll get some footage on that. What I'm worried about is when this thing's producing hydrogen, on the other hand, that's going to be a whole other ball game. I could potentially produce one hell of an explosion if I'm not careful. So what I'm going to have to do is shut this steam system down at least 5 minutes prior to refueling. Because I can tell you now, if I'm generating hydrogen in that mix, it's going to be a violent pop. I'm a little worried about it. I'm kind of scared. So we'll be looking for that. And here is the clip that concerns me. This clip will not show very much hydrogen. It's mostly going to be a carbon monoxide explosion. It's very mild, gentle, and terrifying. The fire seems to be underneath the entire bottom. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, here goes nothing. I'm going to inject some steam into this thing. Very small amount. Just going to do like 1/10 of a turn. Might not even generate steam. My barrel isn't hot enough, it won't. So far it's just kind of spitting. Hissing. Maybe the steam's just invisible. Can't tell if my check valve's vapor locking. Don't know that I see a huge difference yet. A little lighter color maybe. There, I got an idea how to get us to see it here. Look at that. It's shooting that much in there. I'm going to turn this off. I think it might be too much. Okay. I tried to turn it down. It's still really blowing in there. That's quite a bit of steam. I'm not seeing any sign of it shutting down, which is really good. I think I'm going to turn the blower up more. I'm at 80 watts, which isn't very much. I'm at 192 degrees there on the output. And we're apparently burning hydrogen. Doesn't seem to be extinguishing anything yet. Thinking about shutting this secondary air off for a second to see what that does for us. Okay. That's all air from below now. The flame has changed color. It's not that super blue anymore. Things still look extremely white hot down below, which is good news. The center does look a little cooled off. We have used, looks like 50 milliliters in 14 minutes. The flames are sustaining. I'm going to take another look at the steam. Appears like it's just coming out of there like crazy. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice. So that 8-turn coil is doing pretty good. So far, so good. Now I would assume maybe it's burning less carbon at this point. I don't know. Okay, looks like I'm at the 100 milliliter point there. Real close. Coming up on 23 minutes into this. I had to turn the blower down. Still producing lots of hydrogen in there. Down to 91 watts on the blower. And I am hovering dangerously close to my alarm temperature. Other than that, I'm still not seeing any vapor lock oscillation on that check valve. So it's just flowing straight down into that steam coil and producing steam. Still producing steam. Burning extremely hot and orange. Pretty sure that's the indication that we're burning the hydrogen, is when it oranges up like that. Initially we had them pretty blue flames. And she's hovering kind of slow there. 24 minutes. Okay, my worst nightmares are taking place. This thing is, the alarm has triggered. We are running extremely hot temperatures. Oh, thank God. I had to turn on that 1,000-watt lamp to bring my triac voltage down enough to get this blower to run at 72 watts. The thing is just running too hot. So we're currently running at 210 degrees on 72 watts power. There's our water level. Coming up on 25 minutes. And still making some beautiful steam. Imagine that's just hydrogen gas and oxygen flowing out of there. I'm terrified of refueling at this point. But I gotta do it. I think I've got an idea. I'm gonna try not to cover the whole fire bed. Okay, we're cooling down finally. 26 minutes in. Almost at 150 milliliter, coming up on it. Still burning hydrogen. Coming up on that 150, maybe at 150 milliliters I'll shut her down. And we'll see where that puts us. At 205 degrees. Still burning hydrogen very good. The hydrogen flames seem to be down inside the coals. You can see these tinier orange jets. They're a lot faster because hydrogen can burn in those high-speed jet streams. Carbon monoxide is kind of a lazy flame. It lingers a bit. I think I'm going to try opening the secondary air. I just opened the secondary air there. I don't know if that did much. That's this thing here. It's just a gun scope that I've been using to close off, and I'll close that back up. Almost at 150 milliliters. Coming up on a half hour. Also want to get a look at my valve position. See how it's just turned just a little bit. Still got a nice hydrogen flame going in there. A bunch of little tiny ones. See those little yellow spurs? Almost there. I'm just going to go ahead and shut the steam off at this point. We're at a half hour. Okay. 33 minutes in and I have just refueled. I'm pretty much terrified half to death of this thing at this point because it now may have hydrogen in it, even though the steam is off. Still seems to be drizzling out of there a little bit. I had to put that shroud in the way. But yeah, this is, oh, there it goes. So thank God it didn't explode. What I can probably do now is open the secondary air. Okay, so that wasn't such a good idea. I'll close that back up. So luckily, managed to do that without an explosion. I think the key is not having that secondary air open. Just barely turn. And we will watch the blue flames convert to the brighter hydrogen orange. Kind of need to stoke this thing just a little bit. It is oranging up. Ashing up on my dome a little bit too. That's where we are on that. I did shut that down for a couple minutes for refueling. The thing I'll make sure to do is to dump that water back into the beaker for the calibration, so that I know exactly how much water actually got consumed. Because at this point, it seems like I'm spitting a little water. So I may end up wanting to either lengthen this coil or slow down the injection rate or something. Because I don't like what I'm seeing with this drip. Still issuing quite a bit of good steam though. I could throw some insulation on this extension tube. I thought about wrapping it down the side of the unit itself. The thermal radiation kicking off the bottom of this thing now is incredible. That hurts my hand. So the bottom of that coil is just getting blasted with heat. Because I have a forge in the bottom of this thing going. Oh, there we are. Just past 200, coming up on 250 milliliters of water. I believe what has happened is that this junk valve has changed itself. I tightened it too tight because they don't turn off very well. And now I think I just got more water than I actually want going in there. So finding my flow rate is going to be kind of hard to do. I'll draw a little graph up and figure it out. Things are going fine. Absolutely no combustion inhibition whatsoever as a result of the steam injection. In fact, it seems to be augmenting it tremendously. Freaking awesome. Nice hydrogen flame. Okay. Coming up on the 150. And at 43 minutes. 43 minutes. 199 degrees. 100 watts on the blower. Pretty big flames in there. And I'm on my 3rd gallon of charcoal. This is a 30-gallon barrel. So you can see I've dug into that quite a bit. So I'm going to figure out how long this barrel would last me. So far I'm running about 3 gallons an hour. Actually, it's about 2 gallons every 50 minutes. Some really beautiful hydrogen flame action going on. Look at that jet down there in the bottom lower left corner. That thing is really funneling. Wish you could see it as well as I can. .07, 92 watts. Massive hydrogen production. Hey guys, I've got a quick conclusion for you here. I'm headed back towards thermal overload again. I may end up getting some of that good Dex Cool that doesn't boil until it's 224 degrees. This green stuff that I have is just junk. But anyway, my conclusion is that this water injection system is running my unit so hot that I'm going to have to figure something out. I'm constantly having to bring that wattage down to 70 watts. 90 watts is just too much heat to burn water. I am falling under the 700 milliliter point. Coming up on 50 minutes. I think I'm just going to run this thing for the hour with the water injection. I'm going to dump that water back in the beaker. We'll get a look at it, see what the actual volumetric flow rate is, and all the rest of that. Man, that bottom of this thing is just blasting heat off of it. I want to give the glory to Jesus Christ at this time for giving me the knowledge and wisdom to literally burn water. This isn't some internet hoax. This is actual chemistry. This is a very old process. And I'm just glad that I had the sense to try it. And I do not proclaim fame to that idea. I give the glory to my Creator. That is just awesome. I really wish I had a good camera and you guys could see these huge high-speed hydrogen jets. You see how the blue flames are kind of lazy in the middle there? On the sides are these high-speed streaks of yellow shooting out that they're a lot faster. I'm presuming those are the hydrogen. Man, I gotta get away from this thing. I am like dying. 98 watts, 205 degrees, 54 minutes into it. As I said, at the 1 hour mark, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this thing down. I've just been out in the garage too long. I'm gonna get disowned. 55. Check on the steam again. Still producing lots of steam. Blasting some serious hydrogen. There's like 2-foot orange flames shooting out of there. Man, this is so cool. It's so cool I've let my coffee get cold. Really not seeing any need for a check valve here. I've built steam systems in the past with a flash tube and found that you get this undulation. A vapor lock is what Ligonol, or Gary told me is what it's called. Okay guys, the system is at 201 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and call it on the hour here in a second. We have approached the 600 milliliter point. We do have some water down there in the pan, as you can see. Maybe 100 milliliters or so from condensation. Still got some good flames in there. I think we're about down to the end of the charcoal there. That's going to be basically ash and slag. This system does produce some good slag, which in my opinion is kind of a good thing, because it condenses the ash. If this was powder, it might be a larger volume. Anyone have any thoughts on that? I kind of like the way the slagging acted on my screen, because that way it kept the ash up top and not down in my ash pit, which would restrict airflow to the combustion zone. So I'm kind of liking the slagging. There's a nice little hydrogen jet shooting out of that little round hole. You see that? Check that out. So 97 watts, running extremely hot. We are there. We're at 600 milliliters. I'm shutting the steam off, and we're pretty much at an hour there. So that was a good run, an amazing discovery in my opinion. I mean, it's not a discovery, but it's a discovery in this garage. I'd never thought of burning water until just recently, and it is indeed possible. Okay, so in 1 hour we burned about 225 milliliters of water. I dumped what had dripped in the condensation tray back into the beaker. I spilled a little bit filtering it because it was full of a lot of trash, and so real close to 250 milliliters there in 1 hour. And we also burnt